Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this review, I want to be discussing the NBC television series Crossing Jordan, starring Joe Hennessy, the late Miguel Ferrer, Steve Valentine, Ken Howard, from the White Shadow, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Also, you had Catherine Hahn. For a while during the final season of the show, you actually had the one that wasn't captured, but it was kidnapped by Buffalo Bill. It's Diane Smith, or something, or Kate Smith. I forgot her name. I blacked out her name for a minute. Of course, this movie. I should say that movie. This television series aired on NBC from 2001 to 2007, lasting 6 seasons. And it was really disappointing last episode of the series. It all had to do with a plane crash, and practically the entire cast, except for the one who played Lily on the show, was on the plane, and then trying to survive and trying to figure out why the plane had mechanical problems and stuff, and trying to survive, trying to wait for the rescue, which just happens at the very end of the episode, of course. And unfortunately, that's how the series had ended. But before then, Crossing Jordan is a modern day, or should I say, a 21st century version of another great show, pretty much the same concept, called Quincy, which aired during the mid-late 70s, early 80s, starring Jack Klugman as Quincy. And I want to bring that up because there's a lot of comparisons between the two shows, because it's the two television shows that's based on a coroner trying to prove that a person died by murder, and not by murder, but how he died, how the victim died, and if it was murder or not. And during the first season of Crossing Jordan, they actually brought in Jack Klugman as an older medical examiner who messed up on an autopsy. Fortunately, the problem was that he was not called Quincy. It was called a different. Jack Klugman's character was called a different name. And at that point, in Jack Klugman's life, he was suffering from throat cancer, and he had throat surgery. So his voice sounded like this through the whole episode. And trying to do a bad impression of what Jack Klugman sounded like. But he had a gravelly voice because he had the surgery for throat cancer, and for a while he was doing commercials with Tony Randall for a potato chip commercial, and he didn't speak at all because he could not speak anymore for a long time after he had the surgery. And then he eventually went to a speech therapist and worked on his voice and was able to speak a little bit, and so he got cast in a one-time starring role on Crossing Jordan. And it would have been damn cool if Quincy met Crossing Jordan. I mean, if Jack Klugman was actually playing Dr. Quincy and not this other character, and they passing the torch from Quincy to Crossing Jordan. That would have been damn cool, especially fans of the original show like I was, because I grew up watching Quincy. It was one of the many shows that I grew up with. And it would have been damn cool to see him pass the torch to Joe Hennessy, who played Jordan. And I should mention, Joe Hennessy was so damn hot and sexy in this show. It was unbelievable. And this was the first show that Joe Hennessy was casting since leaving Law and Order. And she was on. I think she was on for like 3 seasons, for like season 4 through season 6. And her character was actually the second character on the long-running franchise to be killed off. And she was killed by a drunk driver on Law and Order, by the way, in the end of season 6. And so she had pretty much nothing to do. So NBC offered her own show, and it was a hit for 6 years. I think it lasted almost as long as Quincy. I think Quincy lasted us a little bit longer as a series, but she was damn good. She was hot. She was beautiful to look at. She was sassy. She was not bad looking. She was sexier in this show than she was on Law and Order, but she was hot. She was just hot, and of course she played the title character, like I said. And she figures out she's like a pit bull with a bone trying to figure out murders. And her father was played by Ken Howard, who was played back in the 70s. He was the White Shadow for 3 years of television, and he did a very, very bad Boston accent, an over the top Boston accent on the show. And not only that, but he gained a ton of weight. And so when Quincy Jones first started, they said, "Hey, the White Shadow got fat." And I mean, they're making fun. I mean, they make fun of women who gain weight on television shows, but they really picked on Ken Howard for gaining weight on the show and doing a really bad Boston accent. And to the point where after like 2 years, slightly more than 2 years, Ken Howard actually quit the show. The reason after 2 years, he was in a couple episodes of season 3, and there was I should also bring this up. But I haven't finished my point with Ken Howard. But he decided to leave the show because they're calling him the Huge Shadow instead of the White Shadow because of his weight gain. And not only because of his weight gain, but they found his Boston accent. And one of the things that made the show work, at least during the first season, was Jordan's father, Ken Howard's character, was supposed to be a former Boston cop, and he used to work with Jordan, especially when Jordan was a little girl, about this game they were playing, trying to figure out whatever crimes, to figure out the murder that Ken Howard's character was working on. And so, okay, who would you rather play, the victim or the killer? And I said, okay, I beat the victim this time. And Jordan's father says, okay, I picked the killer. And I tried to reenact the murder, actually recreating the murder, which was kind of weird and kind of disturbing a little bit. And at one point, Miguel Ferrera's character blasted Ken Howard's character for this stupid game that they played with Jordan all the time. These depraved game that they play, where they're trying to figure out the killer and stuff. But the funny thing is, that game actually helped Jordan figure out how the person was killed, how the person did it, and to arrest the proper person for it. And for a while, that became like a running thing between some of the other characters as well. Also did that. Who would you be, the killer or the victim? And they did that a little bit from time to time throughout the rest of the series, but not on an every episode thing like it was during the first season. And while again discontinued, there was a little bit discontinued, a little continuity problem when it goes to the third season. And I think that because one of the problems was, I think everybody had a writer's strike. I don't think so. I think they had like a 2006 or a writer's strike. But anyway, the problem was that Jill Hennessy was pregnant. I believe she was pregnant at the time with the first kid. So they had to suspend or try to work around her pregnancy a little bit. And they never brought up. They trying to hide her stomach, because they never wrote the pregnancy. And some shows they write the pregnancy into the television show. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. But they didn't do it in Jill Hennessy's case because naturally, of course, she was single, and her character was single on the show. And even though Jill Hennessy was married in real life at the time, I don't know about now, but at the time she was married in real life, and so she didn't in the real world, in reality, she didn't have a child out of wedlock, but on the show it would have been, and so she didn't want to have that. They didn't write that into her, so there's a problem with the continuity going into the third season because her father had out with Jerry O'Connell's character at the end of season 2, and they found out who killed John's mother, which I'm not going to give it away too much. I'm not going to give it away who killed John's mother, but you didn't have that resolution. It was kind of like a cliffhanger, until towards the end of season 3. So there's no discontinuity with regards to season 3 of the show. I think because of that, the ratings for the show went down, even though the show lasted through season 6 for another, I think, 3-4 more years. Season 3, season 4, season 5, season 6, 4 years actually. Including season 3, of course. The rest of season 3, and then of course 3 more full seasons. Brooke Smith, that's the actress' name, who was in Silence of the Lambs, who was captured by Buffalo Bill, and she was in the last season of the show. I don't remember her name. Brooke Smith. So I think because of that discontinuity with season 3, the show got a lot of flack for it, and that's why I think it jumped the shark. And the ratings going to go downhill, even though it lasted through season 6, and it was a good show. And unfortunately, you never see the Ken Howard's character again on the show. After his character was written out at the end of season 3, he never came back. It was a real shame because I am a fan of Ken Howard's, and unfortunately he has since passed away since then. Unfortunately, but the show, held my interest through the whole 6 years. And like I said, I wish it had a proper final episode. That's one of the pet peeves that I have, is that it didn't have a proper send-off, proper final episode of the show. But the show is still on reruns on the over-the-air channel Star TV, and it's still short, like 2 episodes a day, every day, 7 days a week. And the show's, to me, even though that was a 20-year-old show now, and at the start of it, it still holds up today. So that's my review of the television show Crossing Jordan. Please click on the video, please rate it, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video on your Facebook pages, and you can check out all my reviews and on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com, so WDY.com. There's a homepage and Rally Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on this website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.